Ladies and gentlemen, it is another crazy day, but we're going to be talking about the UN now is begging for the Federal Reserve not to raise rates. We're going to see a whole bunch of problems within the companies of the iBuyers, and we're going to be looking in what we can do to transform these empty buildings into condo units. Now let's get into it for today. We're going to be having a whole bunch of stories, you guys. Thank you very much for coming on. Let's jump into the first article of the day, and then I want you to let me know what you guys think of it. So the first article of the day, I want you to go to fortune.com, fortune.com. In the article, it is Wall Street, U.S. housing market to see the second biggest home price decline since the Great Depression. This is going to be massive. We have never seen interest rates go up as fast as they have in the past few months. We are seeing that only the Great Depression and the Great Recession saw nationwide home prices fall in the double digits range. This is going to be huge. That's not good company to be keeping only within the Great Depression and the Great Recession. Now, that is not over yet. The home price decline will continue the longer the rates stay up this high. Now, Morgan & Stanley is saying that home prices will fall 7%, but we're expecting home prices to fall a lot more than that. In Toronto and in the major cities, we're seeing homes dropping 25, 30% regularly. Every single day we're seeing that. But as a nation, the U.S. is only going to be dropping probably 10 to 15. Goldman Sachs is saying 5 to 10%. But remember, this is including every goat farm and doghouse going down by 10, 15% everywhere. But in the main cities, the more over leveraged you are, the more it's going to drop, the more that they will affect the home prices, right? So this is where you have to actually try to dig through this stuff and see what you guys believe. Because on one side, we have some realtors saying, well, the richest people live inside of their cities. So the richest people can afford it when interest rates go from 1% to 7%. But the people who are farmers, the farm might have been passed down through generations, so it won't affect them. But guys, the more leveraged you are, the more it's going to hurt you. And what I have seen in my lifetime, a lot of people who are worth 100 million, 200 million, those people also have 100, 200 million dollars in debt. So this problem is going to continue. But even if we were not talking about the rich people of the world, if we're just going to focus on the people who are the middle class who are working to get by, the majority of the population is that middle class who is working. Their salaries have not gone up. So adding an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to the monthly bill will have massive implications. Like I always say, it's not how high the interest rate will go, it's how long it will stay high. Everyone is banking on this to turn off really, really quickly. They're not going to turn it off quickly until there's some massive contagion in the market. But we're seeing some of those cracks happening now. All right, let's jump into our next article, you guys. Our next article that I wanted to show you is also to deal with real estate. It's all to do with real estate today. This is how remote work could cut off a huge value of what's out there. So sorry, man, my website is a little bit slow. So if you go to observer.com, this article says remote work could knock 39% or 50 billion from the value of commercial real estate in New York City. So right now they are sitting at half the capacity that they were during the pandemic. Half. That is a massive amount that is sitting there empty, not getting any rent. Now, some of them may have long leases, but not most of them. So it says here, U.S. could wipe $453 billion off of the value in their coming years. Isn't it funny that we can throw around numbers like that? Billion with a B, okay? $1 billion. So we're talking about $500 billion of real estate could go down the toilet because work from home is not what it's used to be. So absolutely, this is going to go away. The work from home phenomenon is sticking around for a long time. But this is what I say about all cities. This is about Toronto, where I live, and about New York, and about all of them. All that we are left with is culture. because what we had before, people would flock from other countries and around our country to come to one city because that's where the jobs were. It's always what they said. But now once all the jobs are gone, I can work from home. Then what is the reason for it anymore? Here's the reason. The reason comes down to the fact that you could work from home if you wanted. You could work from home if you wanted, and all that you're left with is the culture. The culture is the restaurants and the King Street and theater, symphony orchestras, friends, all of that. So once we're like demonizing small businesses, they're the things that'll keep the culture alive in that city. Without culture, there will be no city. If you just had a stack of condo buildings, row 100-kilometer thick with no restaurants, nothing, no one would ever come there. We need to preserve the culture that's there because it's no longer the jobs. All right, you guys, let's continue on. Let's go to Zillow. My goodness, guys, Zillow is just another nightmare. Okay, so first of all, Zillow, you guys know a few months ago, they were collapsing, and now Opendoor. So it all comes down to something called iBuyers. Do you know what iBuyers are? So you'll see that from Zillow and Opendoor. You'll see it from Redfin, a bunch of these companies that you can go on, enter your address, and it'll say, this is the value of your home immediately, sell by clicking a button. Very, very quick. Normally, it's around 11 to 15% under what you could get with a realtor if you put it on the market. But what are you doing? You're getting that convenience, right? Cash right now, get rid of your property. So that's really good. Now, a lot of this stuff opened way back when, before the great financial crisis, and all those companies collapsed because in times of turmoil, they need people who know what they're doing and the skill level. And remember, no algorithm is ever going to be able to outdo a realtor in knowing how much are basements worth here? How much do basements rent for? How much would it cost to renovate this bathroom? Or is it a 4-bedroom big house, or is it a 4-bedroom that was a 2-bedroom and it was converted? It's all limited by that algorithm, right? So you got to be careful, but these are coming up to all of their bankruptcies, just like the great financial crisis. We saw Zillow. It said in its 4-year run, the business resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. Ouch. Opendoor right now, it incurred losses on 42% of their homes sold in August. This is a real big problem. In Los Angeles, 55% of the homes sold by Opendoor and 76% of the homes in Phoenix were unprofitable. 76. You can't have a business where you're losing that much money on everything. And so their stocks have been taking some big hits. Now, it says, the article continues, the idea behind iBuying is intriguing, yes, because it could be massively simple, but the profitability and scale has not been shown, which is very true. This is what we've seen all the time, right? So OfferPad is also in a lot of trouble. It's losing a lot of money. Redfin is in a lot of trouble. They've lost $3 million and $54 million together. That is a big problem. They have got a lot of homes on their balance sheet, $17,000 homes. So what are we going to do with all of these properties in major cities? This is going to be the question then. Now, you've seen this in Toronto. I did several videos about what is going on in Toronto. They are going to be taking these old buildings. One of them is, I think it was 80 Young. It was the oldest building in the British Empire. Remember that, built in 1913. It's probably about 25 stories, and they're going to convert it into condo buildings. There's a massive home shortage, but they don't, now nobody is bringing back all the workers to work. There's no offices. But here's the difference. On one floor of office, there are only maybe 2 bathrooms, but to convert it into 20 different condo units, now you have to have 20 sets of bathrooms. And it's very, very hard to convert them into that, because now you have to have a lot of plumbing, a lot of soundproofing, a lot of kitchen fire codes. Really, really complicated, really, really expensive. But Denver is going down this road, same as Toronto, same as New York. They're considering converting their downtown office buildings to residential units among the housing shortage. So we know that this is very, very popular. It's happening everywhere. The funnest thing that I'm seeing doing the conversions, the 2 funnest things are, number 1, they're converting hotels into condos, into micro condos. That's going really well. They already have usually a little kitchenette, maybe, and they already have their bathrooms. So that's a great idea. And I'm seeing them replace strip malls and turning them to old folks' homes. They already have cargo elevators to bring beds in and out of. They have escalators to help them get to the top floor. Genius. I think mankind is genius to figure this stuff out. I love it. All right. Now, home builders are in a lot of trouble. So what are home builders doing right now? Because they're not selling to anybody right now. So home builders right now are offering to sell homes at bulk discounts. So as mortgage rates are hitting these all-time highs, you can look up the article in the Wall Street Journal. Home builders are offering to sell homes in bulk at discounts to investors. They need to get it off their balance sheets. There is a lot of danger in the market right now, and they need anything. I have never received more emails from builders as a broker in my life. I'm getting 10, 15, 20 a day. They are like begging people to buy it. And at these high rates, right, they haven't realized the massive price drops yet. So they're still really, really expensive. Now, what is the biggest nail in the coffin to me? If I look at what the United Nations did today, I've never seen anything like this. I'm wondering if you've ever seen it before. You can go look up this. It's Sky News. Don't raise interest rate. United Nations warns the Federal Reserve and other central banks. The UK economy is forecasted to go down 1% in 2023 amid a series of headwinds. But they're talking to the US Federal Reserve and all of them. It says the US is calling on central banks not to increase central bank rates and depart from its monetary policy being pursued by large number of Western regulators, including the Bank of England, meaning do not raise rates anymore. Their threat, according to the United Nations, is that this would trigger, I'm quoting it, this would trigger a vicious economic circle in which developing world would have more damage lasting longer than the great financial crisis and the COVID shock. And they're estimating an average of $360 billion be lost in the developing world. This I've never seen before. So since when does the United Nations get involved in politics at the level, number one, and get involved in central bank monetary and fiscal policy down to the countries? I've never seen this. Have you ever seen this? Where they're going to be writing an open letter. If you raise rates anymore, you will be collapsing the developing world. That I've never seen before. To me, that is shocking to see that. In addition to that, if you guys were watching what happened last week, we've all heard of the G7, the G20, the top economies of the world. So fortunately, Canada is involved in that group. United States is the biggest economy. Obviously Japan is in there, China's in there. Last week, were any of you paying attention? 3 of the monster economies of the world collapsed and had to be rescued. China, Japan, and the big one in the news was England. England was being torn down. Those pension funds were going under. And if they all didn't rescue their countries by printing another $100 billion each and rescuing the market, they would have imploded. This week would have been a different week. We already would have been in the Stone Age for England. So if we take that, how do we take that and put it to ourselves? If we look at this ourselves, the likelihood of Canada and the United States and all this having to resort to go back to money printing is the most likely scenario. Now, of course, they're going to talk a tough game that they're not going to be lowering that down. Absolutely, 1,000% they're going to be printing more money. Here is the option that Japan last week, what China last week, and England last week had. They could go into an absolute depression immediately, back to horse and buggy, no food, or they print a lot more money. And all 3 of them took the road to printing more money because they could delay it a little bit longer. That is what's going to happen to Canada and the United States. Hands down. So how do you prepare for that? We are heading into an economy where we're going to probably be seeing at least 10% inflation for the next 5 years. Remember, this is not the first time this has happened. If we go back to 1945, after the Second World War, my grandfather came back from the war. There was massive debts everywhere. And what did they do? They printed a lot of money. And after they printed a lot of money, huge inflation on everybody, then the debt to GDP came back into a line. But they had to do it by that huge inflationary tax and get that money from the people. So we're probably going to be facing 10% inflation for the next several years. I know they're talking a good game now. It is wishful thinking. I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm wondering what you think. Is that going to keep happening? I doubt it. But I think we're going to have that. So what do you do to outrun inflation? Who is it going to hurt? It's going to hurt people that are highly leveraged. It's going to hurt pensioners. It's going to hurt anybody with a 9-to-5 job. Those are the people it's going to hurt. Here's the good news. We're going to see home prices really, really come down. Great news for investors. We're going to see stock prices come way down. Great news for us as well. If you have the right mindset and have your financial education on point and you're reading a lot of cool books, I would suggest you guys go read this book. This is an awesome book. The End is Just the Beginning by Peter Zian. Also, try to go read this book by Ray Dalio, The Changing World Order. If you have your game on point, the next 2 years could dictate the next 20 years of your life. Some of the best opportunities you'll ever see. So I'm excited for you. I want you to continue and go crush it. I think that there's some amazing deals that are going to be happening. Homes, real estate are an amazing boat out of this inflationary. You should be able to catch that tailwind, but the right kind. So don't over leverage yourself too much. Anyway, you guys, I'm always there for I want your health, wealth, and happiness to be on point, for you to be crushing it over the next 2 years. And please stay with me through this journey as I try to get to myself. I would like to get to 10 million, and we're going to try to get there. We'll try and get there together. I want the very best for you guys. If you have any questions for me, please send it to me at Ruff Team Realty. I would love to hear from you guys. I want you guys to do very, very well. We're developing some books. We got some courses that are coming up, some really exciting stuff. So I hope that you can just take this stuff that we talk about and learn from it and hopefully set yourself up for some massive success. And I want to hear about it. I'd love to hear about all your successes. I wish you the very best, you guys. Have a great night. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you like that video, you might like this one and maybe something like that.